Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously. Okay, boys, now let's get into our second subject, but where's the wine? Let's talk first about the wine.
What are we doing? We're doing the wine. We're doing the 2011 before the 2012. That can't be right.
What are we doing?
Well, doesn't matter, man. We'll do it.
All right. We're doing mine. Doesn't mean you win because you go last.
Oh, that's what your plan was.
No, well, we always do the oldest wine last. It's all right. I'll take one for the team again. Not that I care. It's not like I thought I was buying a white wine and ended up with a red. It's a 2011 from Chapoutier. We've had a white wine on here before from these guys. It's a French wine. This is a Crozes-Hermitage, I think you pronounce it. It's from Hermitage, which is the same place the Crozes-Hermitage grapes come from. It's a 2011. I've been reliably informed it's like a Shiraz. And it is going to kick the arse out of the other two wines brought before us today.
Yeah, but that's the actually a carbon copy of a Cizeran that I bought a few months ago to our Wine and Wisdom.
Not a chance.
So it's nothing else but just a copycat of
Can't
that
be a
Cizeran.
copycat. And if it was, you default because it's $145 this bottle.
Crystal, if you're listening.
Well, that was when we had no budget.
Right, yeah.
So, all right, let's get into it, man.
Top 2% of wines in the world, this one, apparently, according to Vivino.
God, I love Christmas. You have to see, Hermitage is a very, very small flank on the southern side in the mid-region of France. And yet it is reputed as producing the area that produced the best wine in the world.
Wow.
Did you see a collection of Grange just sold for $438,000 or something?
No.
Stupid like that.
Wow.
2 days ago, broke the world record.
Is it the stock that come from China?
Was a whole collection of Grange?
It was, but it was. I'm going to get the years wrong, so I won't even try. But
Let's try this, boys. I think
cheers,
this is going to probably be the winner of 2021.
Oh dear! Oh, boys, in trouble. Oh dear! How nice is that? I've always been a red wine connoisseur.
Yeah, it does beat mine. Very, very
Not quite
nice.
as strong at the start as yours.
Yeah, but that's
Very smooth.
probably the next glass. We will see a difference, right? It's going to breathe while we having a bit of a talk.
Very good.
All right, so what are we talking about now, Chris?
We just touched on a little bit, actually. We've got...
Goals?
Yeah, we're coming up to the end of the year and a lot of people looking at goal setting. And wasn't there a thing behind goal setting that you were saying that comes from the ancient Roman times a while back? That wasn't you?
No.
I heard it somewhere. The goal setting must have been, sorry.
That's good radio.
Yeah, I have to look that one up. I just remembered it. I thought there was a reason we always wait till the first of the year to set our goals.
Oh, yeah, you told us that. There was an anecdote about the story behind it.
See, it was him.
It was him.
I'm not
Yeah,
going
it was
dumb.
him.
I'm not going
100%.
stupid.
It was clearly fake news because he doesn't remember it. So yeah. The old mythical reason about why they did it on the 1st of January. You had that story.
See, it was him.
100% him.
Thank you.
100%.
Cam's agreed. We've got that recorded, haven't we?
Yeah,
awesome.
it is recorded.
That was one of my goals for 2020 to get Cam to agree to something that I said. So
I don't agree with you.
Listen, he agrees to a lot of things with you, mate. Listen, every single time after the podcast, when you leave, he says, "Oh, mate, listen, he was very good today."
You're full of shit. You're full of shit.
It's Christmas time, mate. We're giving.
I'm sure he said that after we had a nice meal at Muse the other night.
Was it a nice meal?
I think so.
It was a cool meal. It was a lot of fun meal. But then Cam, in his poor form, had to try and spend like some part of the dinner making everyone feel guilty because he broke down and couldn't run. Therefore, we shouldn't be penalising, and because there was no run and blah, blah,
listen,
blah.
I want to go to the video because all I kept hearing about was people bragging about their free dinner that we were paying for, and somehow that's been turned into me.
You didn't pay for. The Winds paid for.
No, I know, but that's what was happening at dinner.
No.
Your son-in-law was the chief instigator, mate.
The Wind.
Your future son-in-law tapped me on the shoulder every 5 minutes to go, thanks again for dinner. Thanks again for dinner.
The Winds paid for it, and then everybody else paid for their share.
That's right.
Correct?
Yeah, 100%.
So don't say you paid for it.
I didn't say I paid for it. I'm saying what was happening
listen,
at
it's
the dinner
recorded.
table.
You just said it 2 seconds ago, mate. Listen, everything's recorded, and he's going to say something else.
So
I thought it was a great dinner.
The Wind subsidised the bill,
Yeah,
and then we divvied up the rest,
that's right.
which
was
was
a big
very
bill.
fair. Which I think was a very fair way to do it. I must say, thank
I
you.
learned
No, but then
you know
don't
what?
say I
learned
paid
it-
for dinner.
I didn't
Don't
say
say I paid for dinner. The Winds paid for most of the bill.
I learned another lesson. Do not ever leave unless you've just won lotto. T. La Hoang in charge of the wine list because for
Mate,
that
I
we
knew that.
didn't drink $2,400 worth of food. That's for sure.
I'll tell you now.
Who picked the most expensive wine?
It wasn't me.
Yeah.
The last bottle.
$100 bottle.
And it
90
was he picked. Oh, I
was the
remember
best
we thought we were
bloody
going to get
wine.
that special red, and it was rubbish. No, that was you.
That was his bottle.
Yeah, there was a 2008 or a
My
2006.
bottle was one of the best reds we had that night. It was $105.
We had it with the steak, and as soon as the steak was gone, the wine tasted like expensive.
I learnt a lesson about giving him the wine list when we went to Mrs. Wong's with a work dinner.
Oh, mate, I figured we're already into it for $1,000. So how much damage?
So
could
we
do?
gave Thomas
Turns
the wine.
out-
I'm just drinking the wine, and the bill's coming out. I go, oh, bloody hell. It's good wine, though.
No, it was.
It's good wine. I love the wine.
I thought it was a great dinner.
It
was good to be
fantastic.
sitting there with friends, and I think Mark's a great guy. He was
the
good.
first time I got this real respect to the twins, too. Have them aside and just really...
Because no one else wanted to sit here.
You were so much fun that night, man. You were just a show on your own. There was a dinner and there was a spectacle. So, with goal setting, one of the questions you asked before today's podcast, and I thought it was very good. Why is it that a lot of people go out there and set a lot of great goals but don't get them? And I thought it was a very good question, maybe worth discussing. Why do you guys think?
I don't know. Is it... The only thing I can really think of is two things. Number one, discipline. Is it they're not disciplined enough to follow the actions to achieve those goals? Number one. Number two, are the goals not really the goals that they want? Are they goals that they believe society want them to have? You know, go and buy the nice car, get the house on the water, you know, lose weight, whatever it may be. And it could be a simpler goal to spend more time with the family that they want, but they think that's not the right thing. I don't know. Are people missing their right goals?
I think you're 100% right. They're all reasons why people miss their goals, but you've got to go back to the very start of the foundation, which is potentially people aren't executing the right process in choosing their goals. There's a process you've got to go through, which is going to end up in, if you don't do the process, you're going to end up in goals that aren't obtainable or don't really mean that to you. People mean well with their goals. They mean well all the time. I've found with myself that it's got to be real short term for me. If I set a 12-month goal, I don't think I've ever hit a 12-month goal in my life, but give me a 2-week goal or a 2-month goal, I'm much more of a chance. But there's a process to achieving all of that.
When you say the process, Cam, are you talking about the analogy SMART goals? Is it...
partly, but I mean...
Specific, measurable.
measurable.
There you go.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's the basic one that everyone runs off, but I also know a bloke sitting at this table that's done a book on goal setting that we used to get at the start of most years with all the staff. So I think there's a lot more to it than it being specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and on a time frame, or tangible, depending on what your T wanted to be. And then still, even if you're doing the best SMART goal in history, you've got to overcome the ego and the vanity and all that stuff that makes the goal more about looking good rather than something that actually gets you out of bed
And
in
that's
the
where
morning.
I'm getting. Where I think I believe a lot of people get caught out is they are being led by society into believing what goals they should be setting rather than the goals that they want to be setting.
Yeah, okay. So, but is it by society or is it by the leadership or by the the peer pressure.
Well, it's like a process too.
Well, peer pressure, leadership, there's all society
So,
around
yeah,
them. It's
so
all their
in
environment,
some-
their
Yeah,
environment.
in some offices, for example, if your goal is not about buying a house this year, they look at you weird, right?
Right.
I've had salespeople calling me and say, "Oh, my leader's telling me that I should really focus on buying a house, but I've got 7. I mean, what do you think I should do now?" And I'm thinking straight away, it's not the goal. So I think that SMART goals not enough, because in SMART there is nothing that say it's what you want. There is none of that emotional baggage or deposit that is yours. You can never attain day in, day out goals that belong to others. Goals that are projected by others or been requested by others, and that you try to fulfill either to keep them happy or to really be in their good books.
Yeah.
You have to first of all pick a goal that you really want. That is, and there's no stupid goal, because if that's what you really want, that's important to you.
Yeah, and I think the last time I remember you going into it in depth with everybody, we were trying to attach our values to our goals. It was working out what our values, or our top 10 values were first, and then assigning that to a goal. If you're, and I think it was along the lines of, and correct me if I'm wrong, if your number one goal's money, for example, or value is success, then having a goal that's attached to family isn't going to wake you up in the morning, and vice versa. Someone whose number one goal is, or value is family, can't have a goal that's money related as such, because it's not going to correlate. Am I close?
Yeah, no, I understand. I think it's very good. One of my thing, because I thought about your question very carefully, and you're right, a lot of people, and me included, do set goals day in, day out, a year in, year out, that we don't reach. Like some goals we do and some goals we don't. Why don't we reach every single goal we have? I think it's because we don't change the routines. You know, I say to people, you can't have a different cake if you always use the same recipe. Same recipe leads to the same cake. So if you want, let's imagine my goal next year, let's imagine, it's going to be hard to imagine, but let's imagine that my goal for next year is to lose 15 kilos.
Sorry.
Listen, man, don't you laugh, because that's easier than
something
you
stuck in
having
my
to lose
throat.
10. Okay? So,
Or gaining IQ.
I've challenged you.
listen,
both.
I love the challenges where he loses and then he spends your winning and then say he paid for you. I get that. That I'm still trying to understand. So I'm looking at it and I'm going, if I woke up every morning and I go downstairs and start having my donuts and what is it? Is that your breakfast? Right?
Crystal and I were eating Fruit
And
Loops
then
at 10
your
o'clock
3
last
pancakes every day. Well, that's the same routine. It's not gonna happen. To really get your goals, you gotta have to set routines that are going to change immediately the way that you live next year. So I think that is one of the reasons people don't get their goals. So sometimes they really want that holiday for the family, Chris. They tell themselves, I am going to go to work this year and I'm going to make sure that my family is going to have that goal with me to be on the beach in Byron Bay and celebrate as a family, because you can't do this for the rest of your life. So while you can now with kids that are wanting to be around you, let's do it. They go out there and they keep on doing the same thing they've done last year.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. So if you want to change your environment in the future, you have to change your habits now.
Yes, and it's usually the routines. You know, I read this a long time ago, and it did work for me. Why didn't I like to exercise in the morning? Well, because it's too hard. Because for me to exercise, I have to walk down a set of stairs. I have to walk past the television. I had to walk past the fridge, right? I have to cross the kitchen and then do another 25 meters to get to the treadmill. But what if in the morning when I wake up, my running shoes are right beside my bed? And I did that. And when it was right beside my bed and my feet touched it, I felt like almost obligated, I put them on. And now that you put them on, don't go the long way, just take the shortcut, go down the other staircase, and you're on the treadmill.
Yeah.
That's routine.
Yeah.
I've lost one of my shoes. So.
I heard
That became the next routine I had.
How's that routine working out for you now, mate? I mean, it's Einstein's thing about trying something the same way over and over again and expecting a different result. That's
insanity, right?
If we all attack our goals the same way we attack every goal, we're going to end up in the same. I used to write them off. Goals aren't important. And for years working with you used to go, got to have goals. I'm like, nah, they don't inspire me. They don't. There's no point. I never get them, so I don't have them. Obviously, excuse making. Because I think we were at Kickstart in the Blue Mountains and I walked up to you and I said, mate, this goal setting. I said, I haven't got any goals on it. I just go to work. I know good things will come. And he said, bullshit. He said, you're the most competitive person I know. Your goal is to have a race car by the end of the year, have a radical, isn't it? He said, I can get you into a radical for 150 grand a year. There's your goal. And I went back to the table and I'm like, gotta be a race car driver.
And then you realised there's a weight limit and you thought that was out there.
No need, mate. We're having a serious conversation.
That was a serious comment.
I fitted in a radical with another human being.
And they used a shoehorn to get you in.
Yeah, but the other human being couldn't breathe for the whole
lap. I'm tapping out of this conversation. If you can't take goal setting seriously, then you're destined for failure.
Which leads me to really another step about goal setting. Sometimes you have to call upon the assistance of a mentor or someone that is important for your goal.
Some people see you from the outside.
Someone that you feel like you owe it to them to reach the goal, because then it'll happen. I always remember when I first set up my goal as a salesperson to taking my children back to Belgium and visit my parents. And I said to the kids, all right, Dad's just put on the fridge a map to go back to Belgium. We all want to go back to Belgium. Oh, yeah. Okay, you guys going to have to get 100 points. So every time that you do something out of the ordinary, like beside doing your bed or helping mom with the table every day, if you do anything beyond that, we'll give you 1 point, one brownie point that use a sticker. And at the end of the week, we'll count all the stickers. And if you guys get 10, you get an extra sticker, right? And every week or so, we would sit down and they had to reach a certain number. And every week we sit down and we count the points. At the beginning, it was always easy to give them the points, right? So because once they start getting like the 10, 15, we made it so difficult by the end to even get one. That was because I thought they're not going to get it before the...
We've spoken before about leaders moving the goalposts when their staff
I didn't move the goalposts. It was still 100 brownie points.
They finally got to
but the brownie points became more difficult to get. Anyway,
I know, mate. People moving the base.
Do you think that I would allow myself to go home and not make it that quarter? When at the end of that weekend, we were counting the points. And so by getting my children in being part of that, they kept me accountable. They kept me on that journey and avoid negativity, self-talk that are damaging, or putting myself down, or even sometimes abandoning the goal and saying to myself, we're going to do it next year.
But that all ties in, and knowing you, your number one value is family, yes?
Yes.
So your goal was a family-based goal, and you involved your whole family in it. So the congruity of what you were doing made sense and probably made it easier to follow. Yeah?
Oh, maybe, but mate, try to not reach your goals with your kids. My children would never.
But again,
let
that's
me
family. Yeah, but that's family.
Yeah, but
and you value your kids' opinion. You know what I mean? As part
I understand, but it is more. It is more that they were my master. They were my judge. Not that they were involved. Yeah, sure, they were involved in things, but they were on top of that my judge. And feeling that they were going to be let down by having the 100 points and not having me paying for it, that was a totally different thing. That had nothing to do with family now. That was a fear of letting them down.
Which is, how has that got nothing to do with family?
No, but here you go. Here's the goal, not being family. You guys going to do 100-point kids, and I'm going to buy myself a new Lexus.
Right.
That's got nothing. And but you'll be able to get into the Lexus, so it's family.
No, I've got a small back seat.
What
I'm saying is your goals made sense because they were around your number one value, and even not letting the kids down plays into your number one value. Right? I don't know what my number one value is. It's fast cars, apparently.
Yeah, it's expensive Japanese fast cars.
But that's what I was saying before. I remember we were trying to work out goals with that professional golfer I had working with us at the time. It was around
Yes.
that time that we did that training course and sitting there trying to work out. And they'd all written, we had 5 or 6 salespeople at the time, and they'd all written family as their number one value, because I think the exercise you did was write down what you think your values are, and then let's go through them and match it up to what you're doing in life and see if they're really...
eulogy and what's the other one? Eulogy, values, and...
Resume, virtues, and eulogy.
I guess what I'm saying is, or asking you is, unless people are willing to cop to what really drives them, they're probably never going to set goals that are truly inspiring to them, and it'll much less likely to reach them. If you're setting goals based on, and I did it when I got into sales, I'm like, oh, I've got to feed my family and I've got to do this and do that. It wasn't until I worked out that no, I wanted a fucking big commission check, and I loved the leaderboard on Wall, and I wanted to win, that I was actually more fired up and worked a lot harder than the old line of, oh, I'm going to feed my kids and family, and being able to admit that and then not feel bad about that, because one thing that comes from, if you find your true goals and your true everything, your family's going to win anyway. My family aren't losing by me getting a bigger commission check.
That's right.
Right? And maybe I'm a bad person for family not being my number one value, but back then, 100% as a brand new salesperson, it wasn't. It wasn't what I was about. It took a while to admit that. I was trying to do a training session with the team at the time at that other office about it, and I stopped halfway and I went, shit, I want to win the leaderboard. That's what I'm about. That's my goal, and then that became my thing. So
I think, as you brought up, Cam, is those understanding your values first, and I didn't even think about this when I posed the question, will guide you to those most important goals.
Finding
in
out
your
what
life.
you really want.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
No, buying a fast car doesn't help my kids, except the kids love it if we ever get it. But
will you be a happier person around your family if you achieve that?
That's it. And it was my wife. It was like we all knew. I'd been talking about the Ram for 2 years. Yeah. It was my wife who stopped me and said, and everyone was coming to me with, don't buy a Ram, you won't be able to park it, and don't buy a Ram, it's too big to pull up the houses in, and don't buy a Ram, because they're just stupid reasons, right? And it was my wife who stopped me and said, listen, you're not going to be happy in the Ram. You want a fast car that you can drive like a race car. Go and get one of them. And as soon as she said it, the light bulb went off and I felt better about myself and got excited. And then I went and drove said car and couldn't wipe a smile off my face for half a day. So it takes someone from the outside, a mentor or someone who can look at without unbiased.
Was that the Radical?
No, it was a Lexus I drove a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
But I'd been passing off look, I do like the Rams, and I'd been passing it off as I need a car, I need a back seat big enough to fit the kids in, and I need a tray big enough to still cart stuff around in, and the Hilux is awesome, but because my kids are getting so big now, the leg room in the Hilux isn't great. Sorry, Toyota. So that's how I'd been passing it off. And again, it was a thing of family first, kids sit in the back seat, or buy a race car because that's what makes you happy.
Yep. All right. Now, I just want to say another reason I think that people don't get their goals is I believe they don't set a step goals that's small enough to attain. It's a little bit like if you don't set a goal or a step goal, a mini goal that you're going to get straight away, you're not going to get that motivation. And that reminds me of that line that says, motivation doesn't lead to action. It's action that leads to motivation. When you do something and then you get that one thing, you go, oh, it's working. Okay, I'll do a bit more now. And so you invest a little bit more. And that's one of the reasons people don't get their goals. They don't just do that small step and go for it,
I think we catch ourselves, if I can bring it back to a work sense, when we're doing the goals with our staff, it's easy for us to sit there and talk about $150,000 quarters or $200,000 quarters and, mate, all you got to do is this and this to get it. But to someone, especially who's never done it before or a new salesperson, those numbers sound astronomical. And I'd think sometimes, well, personally, we do a bad job of setting incremental goals to get to that 200,000. All you got to do is sell 3 houses a month and you'll be a $10 billion performer. Well, fuck, where do I start?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I think we can lose.
Well,
we got a responsibility if we're helping people do that.
If you're going to talking about goals like quarters, listen, man, I've been working with a team this one quarter, and in just this quarter, everyone in the team went over their goals, right?
What was the incremental goal you set?
I think that all 3 of them went over the 6 figures in terms of goals, right? And the only thing I did was after the quarter started and one person started to get results, I asked them, what is it that you want? And when they told me about their numbers, I started breaking it down in front of the whole team. And suddenly the entire team went, what? It's that easy? All you have to do is this? But then what they didn't realize is every time that a person we reach a sale or a listing sold, I would just share it with the whole team. Mate, you only have another 2 houses to go for. You only have to get another 3 listing. Right, but I'm not going to push you to a prospect. You're on your own now. You're overbased now. So, as far as I'm concerned, now you're costing me money. All right, if you want to go on vacation or another 3, but I did that every sales meeting, and suddenly these guys just smash it. They've gone through. I mean, the guy who reached the highest number, I think he's gone double on what he targeted for himself. And all of that because we went, it was for step goals. Just one more house, right? Just 2 more houses will do this. Just one more house will do this. Rather than, well, let's go for another 16 sales. I said, just one. And when you did that, you should see it. So some of these guys already start looking at me and talking about, can you be a bit tougher on me for next quarter? Because I think I want more.
Yeah, wow.
And all I did was that single carrot. How do you train someone to do something? By putting the carrot right at the end of the flag? Or by having a carrot here and a piece of carrot there? And when they get to there, another piece of carrot here? Well, isn't that the same thing we should do with salespeople when we set their own goals? But now talking about goals, it's the same thing. Why aren't people getting the step goals? Because they don't set it. They want to go for the big goal. If they said, for example, I'm going to buy a home and I need a deposit of $60,000 in order to buy that property. They say, well, that is the property I'm going to go for in Glenhaven. It's going to be like $1 million or 1.5 and blah, blah, blah. No. What they should have said is, next month, I have to be on target for 5,000 in my pocket. Right? The following month, now I want 7,000 on top of it. And when they see 12, now it's easier to see 12 towards 60 than sitting here and thinking, well, don't worry about it. I'm counting on July to make the 60. That's where people go wrong.
Yeah.
Step goals.
So it's along the same lines. We sit here and go, set goals that mean something to you, and people just see it as a faraway thing that, yeah, we'll do it. What's step 1, TL? What is step 1 for someone who's never set a goal before? Where do you start?
Where you start setting a goal, or where you start
you
have a goal?
To set a goal, because it's all right having a goal and going, I want to buy a race car.
Yeah.
But unless we follow the process properly, it's probably not a real goal or you're going to obtain it. And someone who's never done goal setting before, people are lucky. They come into our network and we talk about stuff like goals. That doesn't happen. And, oh, yeah, I've got a goal to buy seven houses. That just seems like pie in the sky stuff to people coming in until they realise they can do it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's step 1? The 20-year-old who's never been talked about goal setting in their life before.
You need to find out what drives you. How
do they do that?
They're gonna have to think. What drives me? Some people are driven to work for a goal. Some people are driven to pay for a goal.
I was going to ask you this.
Yes. So there are people, for example, my young son Alex, working and budgeting towards a goal. Mate, don't even talk to him about it. Who cares? But if he bought a house today, he's gonna pay for that house. You get it? So he belongs to that group of.
Get it and pay
I'll
for
get it and I'll pay for it. I'll work for it because he'll never lose it. So in the end, you have to find out, and that's the first step. What style of person are you? What kind of driving nature are you built for? Are you built for Formula One or are you built for rally driving? Both drivers are amazing drivers, but you put a rally driver in a Formula One car, he won't make it. Like, if you put Lewis Hamilton against the best rally drivers, he'll kill himself.
I'm for Dodgem car drivers. But
so what's a question someone can ask himself then to work out whether they're Formula One or rally?
No, then you need to sit down and have a look. What kind of person am I? Am I a person that gets things first and then paying back? Or am I that kind of person that
wants
can
the cash
work
in the bank to buy it? Yeah, right.
Once you have that, you can start.
What if you're both? I don't have credit cards because that's responsible, but fuck, if I had one, I'd spend up.
For example, it's seriously bad for me to say it, but I'm the kind of guy that needs to spend it first and then I'll go to work for it. Once I've spent it and I go, oh, gee, I have to pay that? Now I'll go for it.
Have the bill hanging over your head.
Yeah.
I got congratulated once by a father of someone working for me because I bullied him into buying a car and spent all his money. He went, smart business owner that, because now he's got to go to work, but it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah. I think you're the same.
Fear's going to drive you for
I reckon you're the same.
Oh, yeah.
You're the kind of guy, I need to push you into a house, a nice car. I reckon forget the Lexus. I reckon you need to get a Ferrari.
Mate, don't worry.
And you
Won't
need
fit in
to...
it.
The Lexus, no, mate, full disclosure, the Lexus is going to cost me an extra $70 a week and it's scaring the shit out of me. So you think I'm not going to work you think I'm not going to go to work?
I think that's not a good goal.
I haven't said it as a goal.
I think you need a Lexus that's going to cost you an extra $700 a week. 70. What is that?
The Lexus isn't a goal; it's a reward.
That's what losers use as an excuse.
No,
the word reward. Do you actually give your children?
I think my goal is
medal?
my goal is to get us into a bigger house, but I spend every dollar we've got, and then some by making stupid bets and buying cars. So clearly, my goal is not to get us into a bigger house. So that's
But what about getting the bigger house and then pay for it? It's not a goal. Just get a bigger house.
Gotta go to work. Gotta go to work.
Gotta
go to work.
So maybe his hidden goal is not to work more or not to work harder.
Oh no, I've been open about that on here before. My whole goal in life is to work by choice, not by necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
live a life by design.
But sometimes if you feel, I think maybe as a cattle prod, sometimes the best thing you can do is go out and buy something you
get
probably
yourself into a
shouldn't.
bit of debt. Absolutely.
Because then you got to go. You got to go.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's a healthy way to live.
We've
talked before
there's
about
no healthy. What do you mean? Like you lose healthy?
No, what I mean is,
Mate,
what
works for you if to get your goals, it works for you. Do you know that some people never get their phone disconnected? They can't get anything in life all year long, but their phone is never disconnected. Their mobile phone is always on. It's always paid. Every time they get the bill, they might be a bit late, but it's always paid before Telstra goes, we're going to disconnect it. How funny is that? What if they just replace it to go? So don't tell me people can't get their goals. The thing is that it's not a must. And that's where Anthony Robbins said it very well. He said when should becomes a must, people will do it.
What I was saying was, I don't know if putting yourself under the stress of debt is a healthy way of achieving your goals.
It is healthy for you.
It's stress.
It's healthy for you.
We've
No, you
talked
won't be
before
stressed.
about what drives.
You wouldn't be drinking 3 bottles. You'd probably have a glass and go back to work.
People say, no,
I
work
think there's a difference
by
between stress
necessity.
and drive, though. I think there's a big difference between stress and drive.
Using what drives you. I don't know if debt's a healthy thing to drive you. Just like I don't think proving someone wrong is a healthy. It'll last you so long.
I thought it was your hobby, your passion.
Yeah, hate is a driver for so long, but at some point that fire is going to fizzle out, and then what do you got?
But
left?
it's not hate. No, it's not true, mate. I still remember in
You're the one who told me
2004 when I had.
You told me that.
No. I'm sorry. It's 1994 when I had debts, and I had people calling Veronique and trying to repossess our car in 1994, and she was pregnant with Alexander, and man, just knowing that there were debt collectors calling me trying to find out where my car was so they can come and repossess it, man, do you think I had the time to sit down and have a lunch and have a cup of coffee? I had to go to work. Every time I had 5 minutes, I get onto a phone call because that phone call could be the next one to the next lot of commission. Did it make me sick? No, it drove me because I wanted to make sure I got rid of that. So I think in the end, it's how we look at it. Some people look at debts and say, hey, I thank someone for giving me money and asking me to repay after because I got to enjoy the asset that I got. Then you have someone who's negative, who has got $60,000 in the bank on their way to the 80,000 and say to themselves, I cannot believe that I have sacrificed my life and put myself through this shit in order to just have a deposit for a home. So one's got 60,000 is looking at life as in a negative way, and the other one just got a debt collectors, but they're saying to himself, mate, I'm experiencing life. I'm living it. Sorry, it's how you look at it.
Yeah. I was in the same boat when I started real estate. You know this. I couldn't get a phone contract because I was that broke. And I went to work. I'm not saying it's not a good driver and a way of achieving your goals, but did it add years to your life or take away from
No, it's not that. What I'm trying to say is how you look at things kills your life or improves your life. If you look at something as an opportunity and somebody else look at that same thing and see it as a threat, the person who looks at it as a threat, that's going to affect their life. But the person who's looking at it as an opportunity, that's going to improve their life. So it all boils down to how are we looking at that same position, a threat or an opportunity.
I'm going to get a $3 million mortgage. I don't know about you, but we're on.
I think you should. I think for the moment you are on first gear. And seriously, that's why I'm scared with you with the Lexus. I think you're going to be on first gear. I'm going to be walking alongside you and talking to you. And I'm and and every single time I'm going to slow you down by saying, remember, mate, it's $70 a week extra.
Is it the 4-drive? 'Cause I can't see you fitting.
It's a racing car, mate. He's getting.
Race car, mate. And I had someone in the passenger seat who had a similar effect to me in your Porsche when I was in your passenger seat, mate.
Oh,
That's what sealed the deal. I was like, I'm going to make people sick.
So what about those people who they've set goals in the past
Yeah.
and they haven't achieved them, so now they go, why bother?
Yes, that's a good one, isn't it? Those people are the ones that actually the people who had a girlfriend, it didn't work out, so now they're turning gay because girls don't work. That didn't work out. Come on, man. If you set goals and you didn't get it, could it be that maybe something went wrong? Could it be that maybe somewhere along the way, maybe even though you started with a goal you badly wanted it, the process wasn't right? So all you have to do is to just change your process.
Right.
They've got to be part of a good. Well, actually, I was probably about to speak out of my arse then. I was about to say you've got to be flexible with it, but I had goals for the business at the start of the year, and when we got shut down for 6 weeks in March, those goals had to be adjusted to suit.
What's delayed is not denied, right? So,
But that you got to be.
What is it? God's denial?
God's
no.
delay.
God's delay is not
God's
God's
denial.
denial.
The other part is you probably haven't set them properly or had the process set properly.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people, mate. I'm one of them. If you're not surrounded by people who are of the same mindset, and that comes back to association too. If you're trying to set a goal and you're not surrounded by the right people, you're going to have to be a bloody strong.
Yeah. That's why mate, between mates, I just want to let you know now. I don't know who is hanging around you, but that PC Lexus that you're going for is weak.
Environment will always overcome will.
I think
I wanted the Ram. I wanted the Ram. The Ram had a V8, 5.8 litre Hemi in it.
No, I think you could get something way, way better than that, because what you're about to get is just $70 a week extra. Mm-hmm. Okay?
That's all right.
You just drank today.
You know he's sending you
2 weeks of the
messages,
Lexus,
right?
mate.
Can you call the White Angel, mate, and see what
I don't need to call the White Angel, mate. That's your White Angel, mate. I've got already enough difficulty dealing with my White Angel.
There's more factors at play, but it's probably taken away from what I think is a pretty important point. If you are surrounded by people who are going to sabotage your goals on your behalf for fear of you actually succeeding, you're not going to succeed.
Well, you shouldn't have those people around you to start with.
Yeah, but people do, mate. I take it to the person who's
why
setting
would
goals.
they do that, you reckon?
It's crazy,
why would they do
People
that?
who are setting goals for the first time ever, I go back to my question, what's the first step? And part of it is understanding where you are and the environment you're in. We had this talk about a footy player once, and I thought environment will always overcome will. We've had that conversation. It doesn't matter how good you set the goal, and it doesn't matter how strong-minded you are. If you're surrounded by the wrong people, I'm sorry,
become
but
who you hang around,
it's not going to happen. So,
who are you hanging around to drive Lexus now?
mate, I'm happy to race. Yeah,
You got rich friends now. You got rich friends.
5-minute head start up the gorge. We'll see.
She had that 5-minute head start in a 100-metre race, betcha.
Oh,
Charlotte
listen,
and I spoke yesterday. We're actually still going to do the race, but it's going to be friendly, and you aren't going to be involved. All right? Because
what a loser! What a loser.
she's trained too hard for it to go to waste, and my calf's feeling good. So,
well, you can have the whole cow. Forget the
So
calf.
are you saying now that your ego
You won't let us be
is getting in check now? Is it?
I'm working really hard on it. I'm
Yeah.
still having so many moments. You know what the shit thing is when you're aware of something? You spend half the day punching yourself in the jaw because you know exactly what you're doing. When you're in that,
timing it for the next one.
When you're in that,
a few bottles in, I'm just timing the next.
You know
bit.
how to do it.
Just
I've
timing the
learned
next-
from you,
timing
man.
the
I've
next
learned
bit.
from
when
you.
you're in that transition phase of being completely unaware of your faults to being aware of them, but not being able to stop them, you just tend to spend the whole time punching yourself in the chin because you fucking did it again, you did it again, you did. So my chin's sore at the moment. Don't worry, because since leadership, there's been a lot of fun.
So would that be right for someone like me to say that your goal to strengthen your ego is actually working and and you get to accomplish it year in year out?
You know what? I wish my ego was less and my self-esteem was more. That's what I wish.
Yeah. No,
We're
but,
all that
but your
mate.
ego is rich.
But I don't know how you do that in a goal-setting sense. You know, we want to be positive, right? But I'm thinking, what's a goal for next year? My goal would be to get off level 1 leadership, but then am I just being a fucking negative by saying I'm a
What do you mean? You
level
may
one
not, I don't
leadership.
think that you're negative. I think that you're very positive to think that you're on level 1 leadership.
I thought, you had me getting all he's going to give him level 2, level 1.5.
100%.
He's going to create a new level, 0.5, something like that. But that was good. And this sort of thing, the step process to the goals, achieving your goals, is if you want to take that next step and you like reading, mate. If those mornings, get up and start reading read the manuals, whatever it may be. I don't know, but there's those steps to achieve those goals.
Probably a good point that we've uncovered by accident is you're not going to be able to set a goal properly unless you're fully aware of or accepting of where you're at. Right? There's no point setting a goal of being a
What
Formula.
kind of person you are?
Well, there's no point setting a goal of being a Formula One driver in the next 12 months if you've never driven a go-kart. You know what I mean?
I thought before, to be there, you need to be a critical thinker and be more self-analytical than a lot of other people to be able to achieve real goals.
And one of the things that we did also at the seminar, which is self-observation.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to observe
huge.
yourself. Until you observe yourself, you don't. How do you work something you don't know how it works?
For me, a big thing is I'm comfortable. And I'm now starting to become uncomfortable with my comfortability. If that makes sense.
You think you've been using "I'm comfortable" as a bullshit excuse?
Potentially.
I'm asking the question.
No, potentially.
We're talking about awareness. So
Anyway, one of my next things about goal setting, the reason why it doesn't work is that people don't reward themselves as they reach a step goal. So it's one thing to reach a step goal. You have to reward it. You have to send a message to your brain that, hey, this is something we like. They train puppy by giving them a treat. Every single little things that they do. Do you know that? And we don't even give ourselves a treat for reaching the step goals.
now I used to, when I started, and it was you that taught me to do it, but I used to set aside a certain part of my commission check, was called the Piss It Up Against the Wall Fund, and whatever I made, it was a percentage base, so I'd change, I could spend on whatever that you wanted. The first commission check was a TV, and the second one was the tag. I still wear the watch. And when I stopped doing it, some of the joy went out of it. Some of the joy of making or writing massive amounts of commission went out of it.
I noticed that. I remember all of that. You were more or less looking forward to that than the business, And mate, you have to do that.
Do you feel when you put the tag on, you relive that and you go and I worked for that, and it's a little bit more of that self-esteem boost?
It was at the time.
Now though,
the goals have gotten a lot bigger since. So that tag was, and it was back when I think it was my second quarter, and I said to myself, if I pass 125,000, which at the time we were averaging comms of 14 grand. So I said, if I pass $125,000, I'm spending $5,000 on a watch, and I did it. I think I hit 140 in my second quarter, and that was a chest puffing exercise. The first com check I got a $1,300 TV, which is still hanging on the wall. And since then, and since opening the business, we've stopped doing that. We've stopped rewarding ourselves, and it does take, depending on what drives you.
Yeah.
But mate, I love material things. I love
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
It's that hidden part of me that's a bit of an influencer that I love toys and I love being able to spend money. Like, I was an idiot for doing it, but the day I could walk into Toyota and put down $15,000 to buy my wife a car as a deposit, just cash, like that was, I was king of the fucking world, mate, king of the world. And you've got to do it. If you're going to drive so hard to achieve something and not reward yourself, your brain will quickly stop letting you drive so hard to achieve things because there is actually no reward in a chemical sense, in a physiological sense. I'm talking about now. Yes, you might have lost the weight, so you're healthy, or yes, you might be able to, whatever the goal is, achieve something with it. But unless you give yourself a specific pat on the back and name it something cool, like a piss it up against a wall. As a bloke, there's nothing better than going and pissing. Let's go and piss some money up against the wall.
So number one would be self-aware. Number two, we've got to have the goals and have a stepped process through those goals. Number three, we've got to reward ourselves.
There was only 3 S's there. I thought you were going to go for the triple S.
We've got to reward ourselves.
Be selfish.
Well, reward yourself.
Yeah,
be selfish and reward yourself.
But
that reward for some people will be a trip away with the family. So that's selfish.
Reward yourself, right? Because take my Comchecks, for example. There was a percentage sent away where I could piss money up against the wall, but it was a percentage. The rest of the money is helping the family.
Yeah.
The rest of that money bought a house and a couple of cars and did all those things that we've got. But reward yourself, because then still you're only ever doing it for other people. And I still think that would wear thin. After it's like the pretending that your family's your goal, right?
So be self-aware, have a stepped goals. Have steps to your goals. Know your steps to achieve your goals. Be selfish.
Be selfish.
What would be the number 4? Do you reckon? You'd be 4 would have, and I think you mentioned it before. Would it be to have someone to hold you accountable, have a mentor, have an accountability partner?
Yeah,
have someone assess them from the outside looking in.
Someone's going to tell you how it is. Not gift wrap it.
If we go to TL and go, oh, my goal is to do this, he's going to tell you you're fucking idiot, or you're not being strong enough, or you're not buying an expensive enough car, or that isn't you, or you need people like that in your life. And they should be our partners, and they should be our wives. And like my example with the car, Crystal did a fucking perfect job of actually.
However, how can you be proud of $70 extra?
Can you do it in total? No, he's not, because I can't. Fuck. Fucking idiot.
Thanks, boys. Good talking to you.
Fucking